All right.
Hello.
Hi. I already see we're using the chat. That's great. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to get started in probably about a minute. All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Understanding Your Rights. We are so excited you can join us and learn more about SDM. Really, the goal of this presentation is for you to leave after this feeling more empowered and excited to use SDM more in your life. So who we are Lehigh Valley Center for Independent Living, Jewish Family Service of the Lehigh Valley, have been partnering together for about a year now, researching supported decision-making practices, holding sessions like we're here today, and advocating for individuals with disabilities to become more empowered. And we recently connected with Disability Rights Pennsylvania regarding SDM in Pennsylvania. And that's where Elysia Duerr, a guardianship attorney that we met, has been helping us along the way. She's not only very knowledgeable, but a fierce advocate as well. So I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I'm Amanda Thomas. I have my PhD in special education, and I'm spearheading the SDM program in the Lehigh Valley. So a few housekeeping rules before we begin. Today's program is recorded. Closed captioning as well as ASL is provided. If you see at the bottom, there's captioning, you just have to enable it. And then in the settings, you can adjust the size level if you need it bigger. There will be an opportunity for questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any specific legal questions for yourself, family, or friends, please contact Disability Rights Pennsylvania. Recording the slides and the transcripts will be sent to you to your email and probably by next week sometime. Does anybody need any help locating the closed captioning or connecting with or not seeing the ASL? They should be spotlighted. Okay, great. All right, how's everybody doing today? Can you show me how you're doing with a reaction at the bottom on your Zoom? You can like put a little emoji on. Do we know how to do that? Let me see. Can you do a reaction? I don't know. Let me stop share. Okay. Let me see. Is that? Oh, yeah, you are getting it. Okay. So I see it. Thumbs up. I see a happy face. All right. I really like let's do like a pumpkin or something. Oh, the heart eyes. Okay. Great. Elysia, happy thumbs up. Thank you. All right. I'm going to reshare my screen. Oops. Okay. So it's never too early to start talking about supported decision-making, and it's never too late. It's no matter where you are in life, you can always learn more about supported decision-making. And supported decision-making is based on the idea of self-determination. This means that you direct your own life. You set what's most important to you, you set goals, you reach out to help with those around you, and make sure that you are living the most fulfilling life. So most of us need help making decisions, so we turn to those who can guide us. And that's what we're going to teach you about today. Especially now that we're in a pandemic, we might need to start advocating for more independence and experiencing more responsibility now. So I'm going to walk you through it, and hopefully you become more empowered after this. So this is the most important thing. This is why we're here, because you have rights. Everyone has the right to make a decision about their own life, and being able to make choices about your life is really crucial for independence and happiness. So how many of us heard about the movement Free Britney? Can you show me with an emoji reaction? Do we know about it? Yes, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Okay, some clap hands, great. And so I thank you for interacting. Britney Spears was in a conservatorship. Her dad was the guardian or the conservator, and Britney didn't have any rights. And so she was kind of told what to do, wasn't allowed to spend her money or really go anywhere. And this really put a spotlight nationally on guardianship and getting the word out there to advocate for other alternatives. So we're glad that, you know, she helped continue to teach other people about it. So age of majority, why this is important. Reaching the age of majority, or 18 years in most states, means that you're no longer a minor, you're an adult. And you can, if you're still in school up until you're 21, age of majority continues until you leave school. So as a person that has a right and responsibility to make certain legal choices, for some young adults with disabilities, this may be a really exciting opportunity for increased independence. However, some people might be concerned, like family members, about how best to support you. And that's why it's so important that we look at all different alternatives. Elysia, do we have any questions that you wanted to say about age of majority besides that?
Not about age of majority, no.
All right. No. So here is a graphic, kind of just to give you an overview about the alternatives to guardianship. As you can see, release forms is in the blue, and it's the least restrictive, going all the way to full or plenary guardianship, which is the most restrictive. So you don't really have any rights. Someone is in control of making the decisions for you. And all in between, you can have all different options, and you can weave supported decision-making throughout these options as well. So it's not just one box or the other. You can have multiple different supports and services if you need them. Elysia, anything else?
Yeah, do you want me to talk about these alternatives?
Okay. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, so I'm going to, normally I give a whole hour presentation on these alternatives, right? But this presentation is specifically about supported decision making, so I'm not going to focus as long on these. But I'm a guardianship attorney. Really what I am is an anti-guardianship attorney, because my clients are young adults who are 18, whose parents are petitioning for guardianship. And I'm representing them to find an alternative to guardianship so that they don't have a guardian appointed, because it's often not necessary. So for example, we'll talk about money first. Like, one alternative to guardianship, which is when someone else 100% controls your money, could be having a trustee or having a financial power of attorney. Another alternative, which isn't listed here, could be just allowing another trusted person to be on your bank account with you. So if your parents think you might not be ready to totally handle a bank account on your own, you can say, well, mom, dad, why don't you get on my bank account with me so you can see what's happening, see what I'm doing, and help me if I need help. That's an alternative to guardianship. In terms of taking care of your person, there's lots of alternatives to guardianship. One, again, is just supported decision-making, getting support from the people in your life, which we'll talk about more. Another could be signing over a power of attorney to help you make decisions or make decisions for you when you can't make them yourself. And there's another alternative to guardianship in the law of Pennsylvania called a healthcare representative. Healthcare representatives kick in when your doctor or medical provider believes that you can't make a medical decision. They might believe that you don't understand it fully, or you don't have the capacity to understand. If that happens, you don't need a guardian to help you. Your doctor can ask your mother or father or your adult brother or sister or even a friend decision for you. So that's another alternative to guardianship that only kicks in when your doctor won't listen to you because the doctor feels you don't understand. but none of those things require having a guardian. So there's really a lot of options before anyone should have to file for guardianship. And in most cases, a guardianship is never, ever necessary.
Right. And we will go over healthcare representative in a couple slides, but in case you want more information about it or to write it down. So thank you. So what is a guardianship? So if a judge decides in court that you're unable to make decisions for yourself, you are deemed incapacitated, and the judge may appoint a guardian to make decisions for you. So the guardian takes on the legal responsibility to manage areas of your life the judge has decided you're unable to manage yourself. And a guardian can be appointed to make personal decisions, like Elysia said, guardian of the person, or financial decisions, guardian of the state, or both, which would be the full guardianship. And once a guardian is appointed by the judge, it can be very difficult to end the guardianship. So it's really important to know how to avoid a guardianship or remove an existing guardianship if you don't feel it's needed. So I just wanted to show you a few things that guardians cannot do. So they can't restrict your right to vote. There's other lists here, admit you to a psychiatric facility. But however, they cannot do the following without a court permission. So they can't prevent friendships or associations unless it says in the court order. So just because they are your guardian, they can't say you cannot see that person or you can't be friends with that person unless it's through the court. Am I correct, Elysia?
Yeah, that's correct. There's certain things that have to be given by the court for the guardian to do. The one that's abused the most is associations. So oftentimes guardians try to prevent their wards from having friends or seeing other people, and really they're not supposed to be doing that. That's illegal. So just be aware that even if you do have a guardian, you have a right to vote, you have a right to never be committed to a psychiatric facility, you have a right to have friends. There's other things that are listed here that you have the right to do, and your guardian can't change that unless they get a court order.
So it's just important to know this in case you are in that situation, and then you can advocate for yourself. So how can you find out if you have a guardian? It can be really hard to know if someone is your guardian, and even someone might think that they are a guardian for you, but this may not be the case. So you have to be, as we said, appointed by a judge at a court proceeding. If you're unsure you have a guardian, you can call the clerk at the orphans court in your county where you live and ask them to check to see if your name is in the files and go from there. How can I get my guardianship terminated? You will need to go to court to get this done. And if you want this to happen, you can be entitled to a lawyer. You can call your county clerks of orphan court and ask for a lawyer for a review hearing and go through and start that process.
And just to be clear, just because you have a review hearing doesn't mean the guardianship will be removed, but the only way to remove it is through a review hearing in court. It might not work, but that you would have to try to do it that way.
Okay. So one other question that comes up, can you use a combination of supports with SDM? And yes, you can. So you can use SDM is just kind of you advocating for yourself and telling others what you want to do. So you can have that when you have a power of attorney or when you have other things you can have using apps. This is just an example worksheet of just showing different things and how you can have different supports and services. So this is, here are the alternatives to guardianship that Elysia mentioned in the beginning. Instead of using the image form, this is just text form if you need to see it a different way and you want to write anything down, you can. Does anyone have any specific questions about the other alternatives before we go into the healthcare representative? Okay.
I'd like to mention repayees, because I don't think I mentioned it before. And sometimes my clients, their parents petition to be guardian of the estate, which means a guardian, I'll answer that question in a minute, which means a guardian that takes care of money. And a lot of times my clients get Social Security income and someone else is already their representative payee, meaning someone else already gets their Social Security money for them and takes care of it. If the only money a person has is Social Security income, they definitely do not need a guardian of the estate because a representative payee is already taking care of everything. And that is an alternative to guardianship. And again, I think I mentioned if someone does have other money, like a paycheck, an alternative to guardianship could be letting someone else be a co-signatory on their account with them to help them with their account and to help them write checks and to help them balance their checkbooks. But unless someone has millions of dollars that's not in a trust, I honestly see no reason why people would need a guardian of the estate, especially when they're young. Maybe if they owned a home or some other property that's worth a lot of money, they might need a guardian of the estate, but not if their only money is Social Security and a paycheck. It's just unnecessary. So I just wanted to mention that before we talked about healthcare representatives.
Great. We had a question in the chat talking about who pays for reversing guardianship.
So the state law says that people who are incapacitated, that means people who have attorneys, have a right to an attorney. And if they don't have the money to pay for it themselves, the county will pay for that attorney's fees. So in essence, the county pays for it if the person doesn't have the money for their own lawyer.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so a question that Elysia sees a lot is, what if my doctor doesn't think I can make my own decisions, whether it's surgery coming up or them giving results of a test or different things? A healthcare representative can help make decisions with you. Parents, healthcare representatives can be parents, adult siblings, and friends. And you have the right to say no to the decision. And this way, you still don't need guardianship and you can use SDM this way. Elysia?
Yeah, I just want to clarify something. So a healthcare representative does not make a decision with someone. A healthcare representative makes a decision for someone. So healthcare representatives are not supported decision makers. Supported decision makers are different. And Amanda, I think about that more. That's someone who supports you and helps you to make your own decision. A healthcare representative is something different. A healthcare representative is when, let's say you go to the doctor, you need to have something serious happen at the doctor, let's say a surgery, and the doctor doesn't believe you can make that decision. The doctor might think you don't have the capacity to understand what's happening. Rather than the doctor asking your parents to become guardians, the doctor has the right to ask your parents or your siblings or even a friend to make the decision for you instead of you. But again, that only kicks in if the doctor really believes you don't understand and really believes you can't make a decision. So that's someone, again, making a decision for you, not with you. But there is a provision in the law that allows you to do something called countermand. That means say no. So let's say, again, it's a surgery and the doctor thinks you don't understand that you need a surgery. And they ask your mom, like, look, he doesn't understand he needs a surgery. Can you authorize the surgery? And your mom says, yes, go ahead with the surgery. You have the right to say, no, I don't want that surgery. At that point, they would have to go to court and battle it out in court as to whether or not you really need this surgery and maybe seek a guardianship. But there's no need for your parents to go to court to seek a guardianship until that time. They can make healthcare decisions for you that the doctor understand without going to court and without becoming a guardian. And when they do that, they're called a healthcare representative.
Did you want to talk about this form?
Sure. So the law does not require healthcare representatives to have a form. healthcare representatives exist merely because of their relationship to the person who does the healthcare decision. But the law says that the doctor can ask for a form if they want. And this is what that form would look like. It's called the Healthcare Representative Declaration. And the person making the healthcare decision for you, your parents or your brother and sister or your friend, would sign it. So it's not necessary, but if the doctor asks for it, they would have to provide this to make a healthcare decision for you if you can't make one for yourself.
Okay, now we are gonna let's find out about what SDM is. So I have a video to show you.
Going forward in their lives. Decision makers, supporters, and even Supported Decision Making New York's volunteer facilitators have all found the process transformative. Here's what some of them have to say.
Initially, I felt getting guardianship for Bobby was the appropriate thing to do. I didn't realize there even was an option.
Well, I wasn't okay with it in one way because it was stopping me from doing a whole lot of things I knew I could, already do. Even though I would decide, they would still be my mom's last. She was the last person to say, okay, he could do it.
When supported decision-making agreements were explained to me, it made sense. None of us makes decisions in a vacuum. Any important decisions, we reach out to others, family members, friends, and then along with our own choices and our own wants and needs, we make a decision. And this way, for me, supported decision-making agreement gives Bob the power and control to choose, and it also pulls a lot more people into his circle to help him make those decisions. This is going to ensure continuity of support for him throughout his life.
Having a supported decision-making agreement means to me that I would always have supporters supporting me in whatever I want to do in life. And it's been grateful to have them because I'm able to reach out to them whenever I need them. My parents, since they're older, they would have the idea that there's people that really care to be a part of my life and be a part of my journey, and who believes in me and the vision I have for the world.
I've always wanted Dan to think for himself and to be independent as much as possible.
It helped me grow more confident in my abilities as a student. My academic advisor used to help me in registering for classes, and now I make my own decisions about which classes I take. I feel like I'm more independent.
It makes me feel proud of him.
All right. That was just a little video about supporters. This was from Supported Decision Making New York, who we've been meeting with about their process, and we really enjoyed their videos. They're talking about a supported decision making agreement, which is more of like a finalized plan that we do not have in Pennsylvania. So that might be, I just wanted to let you know that. Let me share the screen again. All right. Okay, so what is supported decision making? It's empowering you to make decisions on your own. So supported decision-making can sound like a foreign idea, but you're probably already implementing some supported decision-making to a certain degree because, person-centered planning is probably what you're doing. With supported decision-making, the decision maker or the individual with disabilities can choose the people they trust or to help them gather and understand information, compare options, communicate their decision to others. It's how most people make decisions. So ultimately, the decision maker decides what kind of decisions they want help with and what kind of help they want in making this decision. So what is supported decision making? It does not restrict any person's right to make decisions. The decision maker is always in control, and the supporter has no authority to make decisions for you. Supported decision making is individualized and flexible. That way, you're getting the type of support you need for yourself to make sure you're successful. There are a lot of benefits to using supported decision making. It's a fundamental part of self-determination. People who are becoming more self-determined are happier, healthier, more independent, and have a higher quality of life because you're making all the decisions. So let's talk about what decisions or goals I want to explore. So there's just some options here. The decision maker needs to think about what decisions he or she can make on their own, what would require some support, and thinking about the kind of decisions you might need support with. And here are some examples like finding a job, using transportation in your community, going back to school, having help with your budgeting and finances, even health and wellness. So let's hear from you. Do you guys have any goals or decisions that you'd want to explore for yourself? I don't know if I can see. Does anybody have a thumbs up? I'm sure everybody has a goal in mind, like maybe working out more, trying to go to a gym, trying to find a place to live. Any head nods? Okay. All right. I see some. Okay. Well, maybe you need more examples. So let me show you some. So where do I need support? I really liked this graphic. It has a bunch of different boxes. I'm not sure see if I can make it bigger. There are lots of different areas of life where you might need help making decisions, whether it's finances, healthcare, education, knowing where you want to live. Do I need help understanding my rights? Do I need any accommodations for work, or understanding my employee handbook or my work policies, that kind of thing. So I'm sure you're thinking, I know how to do some of that, right? And some, I think you're probably thinking, I could use some more help with that. Right? Come on, guys. Yeah, okay. All right, like living on your own, if you want to eventually live on your own in maybe a couple of years, maybe talking with someone about starting that idea because of the wait lists and getting on different things and making sure you have supports in place, like your independent living skills. So that's important to start having these conversations now. So next step is you have an idea in mind, a goal that you want to reach for yourself. So who are the key people available to help support you making this decision? So choosing supporters is probably the most important part of SDM. For some people, this might be so easy to choose because, but others, it might be really difficult to try to find a really good supporter. And it's you're the one that decides this. So supporters should be people that you know and trust and know that they want to also help you. So supporters can be friends and family, neighbors, support coordinators, advocates, even community members.
Amanda.
Yeah.
So is this a good time for me to talk about PRE, or do you have another slide about that?
This would be a great time.
Okay, so supported decision helpers, people that help you, could also be professionals. Even if you don't have family or friends who can help you, if you have a supports coordinator that you trust and a social worker and an advocate, all these people can be part of your supported decision making. And there's actually a case in Pennsylvania that went all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And it's about a woman whose brother petitioned for guardianship. And she won her case saying she did not need a guardian because she had what's called a circle of support. And her circle of support, that's the same thing as supported, support decision making, were actually mostly professionals. There were people that worked at her group home, supports coordinators. And what the court ruled is, even if alone in a bubble, you might need a guardian or you might not be able to make decisions. If you have a circle of support or people around you helping you, and that works, you don't need a guardian and you can make your own decisions with their help. So even if you're someone who might not have a family or a lot of friends, if you have professional supports in place and that's working for you, that's all you need. You can rely on those professionals to give you advice and help you make decisions. And you're making your own decisions just with their professional help. And that's totally okay. And like Amanda said, everybody uses help from someone else. It just, who they use varies, but we all get help from others, and that's okay.
Yes. So we had a question about what if you have a very small family, it's hard for us to find key people. So Elysia mentioned that. Just think of where you're building relationships. If you're involved in the community and elsewhere, or if you're involved in service agencies, where are you building those relationships? Where are you spending time with people? Where can you rely on people? Kind of think about your network. I'm sure it's bigger than what it seems. And if it is not, then maybe think of ways how you can get involved and make a bigger network. So thinking about it, you can assign supporters to different decisions. So it's not just like I have a couple siblings. So I'm not just going to assign my sister to, all these different goals that I have. I can assign my sister, she's really good in finance. So I can ask her advice or opinions on different things, or help me seek out information. But then I can reach out to other people for different goals. So it's all up to you in the path that you want and what you need. So just by using your emojis, do you have people in mind that could be your supporters? So I was thinking like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or a happy face or sad face. Let me see some reactions here. Oh, good. We got some thumbs up. Great. Glad to hear it. I didn't see any thumbs down, but if you did, really think about it, because I think you will find some people that would love to be your supporter. Explore that with your service provider. I'm sure that you can find somebody. So talking to potential supporters, this is where I would spend a whole class on this when running the pilot program, because I think it's really important with the communication wise, just to work on your communication skills. So once you determine who you want your potential supporter to be, then you would share with the supporter what support you would like from that person, and how would you like to get that support. So it's really important that the supporter understands the roles and the responsibilities, so that they can say yes or no to that agreement, to just helping you out. So just make sure you're really clear on that. Oh, I have an SDM worksheet. This is one from supportmydecision.org, where it's just helping you. When we do the pilot program, we're going to run through a lot of different scenarios, but this is something like you would fill out saying like, looking at this one goal, paying the rent and bills on time, I can do this alone, or I need some support with that. And what kind of support do I need? Do I need direct bill pay, or do I need apps to help me manage my money, or do I need someone just reviewing it with me monthly to make sure that I'm budgeting correctly and things like that. So there's lots of different categories that you can go through if you want to become more and more independent, if you want to live by yourself. Those are some things that you can explore then too. Okay. So what kind of support do I want? Now that you have the decision of what you want to make, the goal in mind, and you have your supporter, now it's figuring out what kind of support you want. So do I need support gathering information to make a decision? So I know all of us have one way or another looked at their cell phone bill and was like, why is this so expensive? I've heard from friends that they're not paying this much, and I've heard from family and different siblings. So a supporter could help you gather information on different, cell phone bills and different plans and different things like that if you want to change out. Or you might have extra things on it that you don't know about. If you need support in understanding information, looking at a lease and understanding the language of the lease and when to sign it, or understanding what the doctor is suggesting, or just looking at appointments, that kind of thing. Support in understanding the consequences of different decisions. So, a supporter might role play what would happen and help you list the pros and the cons. And I think that would be really helpful for you to determine what's the best choice for me. And then bringing a supporter to maybe a personal appointment, helping the supporter help you identify technology that might increase your independence. There's a ton of different apps and assistive technology that you can use that maybe your supporter can help you with. Helping you communicate your decision to others and making sure that your decision is carried out. So what are the steps in supported decision-making? We're going through the process now, but I wanted to show you an image. So the first is obviously what we did is we identified a decision. We're gathering information. We're going to identify possible outcomes. We're going to make the decision and then communicate that decision. And lastly, the most important thing is reflecting on that decision. How did it go? Would I make that same decision again? And right here, steps 2 through 4 is where you can figure out, how do I want help from my supporter? Do I need help gathering information? Do I need help gathering different possible outcomes, or making or communicating, or all of the above? And that's what you would communicate with your supporter. So what happens if the supporter doesn't agree with your decision? That's okay. Your supporter doesn't have to agree with you. It's up to you. So the whole thing with supported decision-making is decision-making is a skill, and everybody needs practice, and making mistakes helps us prepare for future decision-making. So this is being able to learn from our mistakes, learn from our failures and things that went wrong to make us better in making future decisions. So I think that this is the most important thing. You advocate for this decision, and if it doesn't work out the way that you wanted to, then plan again, and now you can make different decisions for next time. Elysia, anything about this?
No, I would just agree and say that often in court, parents who are petitioning for guardianship of their 18-year-old say they're going to make a mistake. And my response is, all 18-year-olds make mistakes, and making mistakes is part of growing up and part of learning. And we call that having the dignity of risk. That means having the dignity to be able to make a mistake. Because remember, when someone has a guardian, they're not even allowed to make mistakes because someone else is making decisions for them. If you're making your own decisions, you're going to make mistakes because everyone makes mistakes. That's just part of the dignity of making your own decisions, and that's okay.
Okay. So what if I have concerns about exploitation? Maybe you just think that maybe the supporter is maybe exploiting you. The best way to go is to call this hotline for Adult Protective Services or Older Adult Protective Services at this number and do an intake with them. Is that right, Elysia?
Yeah, if you feel you're being exploited, you can call, or if someone else feels you're being exploited, they can call, and they'll do an investigation and determine whether or not there's really a problem. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but that's a good way to handle and prepare for exploitation, is to know that this is a remedy, rather than not making any decisions because you're afraid you might get exploited. I think it's better to, again, make decisions and take a chance. And if something happens, you can rely on Adult Protective Services to investigate.
So SDMs in Pennsylvania, as Elysia said, we talked about, it is in case law in Paris. And we're hoping that by using these educational informational sessions, that we continue to get the word out about the different alternatives so that we can use SDM and start advocating for yourself and empowering others as well. So as we talked about in the video about supported decision-making agreements, currently, like New York, some states have a formal SDM agreement that you would sign and the supporters would sign. But after doing our research, we don't really feel it's necessary. It's already in your circle of support, and you should just be advocating and working with that supporter to make the decisions. So our goal, because we are supported decision-making Lehigh Valley, JFS LV and LVCIL, we are supported decision-making Lehigh Valley, and we are planning to run a pilot program for decision makers and for supporters to really help go through these steps. It would be like a class that you would take, and then we're hoping also in the works is a website where we're going to have materials, these trainings, lots of resources that you can use, and even like a little support group. And we're going to continue educating others through these informational sessions because it is so important to get the word out there. So this is just the beginning. And if you're interested in supported decision making and would like to be a part of our pilot program or join our advisory board, we would love to connect with you. And we're going to have a survey after this presentation. I'll send a survey out to get your contact information. So I would like to do a quick poll before we start a question and answer. It's 4 short questions just to get an idea of where you're at. I'll give you time. You have to scroll up and down to see all 4 questions, and then we'll share the results out. So Chelsea, can you launch the poll?
Okay. Can you see it or not yet?
Cannot. Yes, I can. Oh, there you go. That's the poll results. Can you relaunch the poll?
So, oh, here it should be now. It says it's launched. Do you see it?
Okay. All right, we're getting some people, so they're seeing it. Great. Catherine, I like your enthusiasm. I'm glad you think this is awesome because it is. So we're going to give it another minute. Okay. All right, while the poll is happening, this is the time where we can do question and answer with Elysia and myself. So feel free to unmute yourself and reach out or use the chat, and we can say your question and then help you with the answer. Nobody has any questions? If you do have a question, you can raise your hand as the emoji.
So I see the question about in R.E. Peary. So that's the name of the Supreme Court case that I mentioned, Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, where it was determined that even if someone is considered incapacitated when they're alone, if they have a circle of support helping them make decisions, they're not incapacitated and they don't need a guardian. And again, the woman in that case, she lived in a group home and her supports were professional and she still did not need a guardian. So just keep in mind that having a circle of supports, which is now called supported decision-making, that's an alternative to guardianship. And that's okay.
Okay. And we're still waiting for questions, but I just wanted to give you the contact information for Disability Rights Pennsylvania, or if you need to email me about supported decision-making Lehigh Valley, my contact information is there as well. So I will stop sharing. Anybody have anything else? Okay, well, I hope this, can I have an emoji, please, of how you enjoyed the presentation? You know, a thumbs up, thumbs down, a ghost face, like you're overwhelmed, a happy face. Okay, great. Good. All right. Well, thank you for attending, and we will stay on, you know, for another minute or two if you have any questions, but we will send you the recording. Thanks for the heart. We'll send you the recording next week sometime, and we really appreciate your attendance, and I hope that this was really meaningful for you. Thank you. I'm getting emojis through my chat. All right. Thank you, everyone.